the moment you discover all your pages are out of order. So I have an idea for a fundraiser. Hobby hugging people.
Is that like a kissing booth?
Yeah, like a kissing booth. Okay, just like a.
Yeah.
2 protecting hens. 2 protecting hens. Jesus, President Zelensky. 2 protecting hens. That's the title of this homily, and it comes from Luke 13:31-35. 2 protecting hens. Jesus and President Zelensky. You often hear me quote Karl Barth, who said a preacher should have a Bible in one hand and a newspaper in the other hand when the preacher preaches. Karl Barth, a famous theologian from the last century. And this is what we're doing this morning. We're focusing on one story from the Bible and one story from the news, the newspaper, or whatever media you use to receive your news. So just think of yourselves having Bible and your news source. Jesus was a Jewish man, and he was heading to Jerusalem and in Jerusalem and out of Jerusalem and back in Jerusalem. And when Jesus says he's going to Jerusalem, it's really important to understand that it's not just a geography. It's not just a physical place. He knows that in Jerusalem, his movement of love is going to be confronted by the Roman Empire, by the Roman emperor. And Jesus knows how that's going to come out. And in many of the stories in the Bible, his disciples say, well, let's not go there then. If that's what's going to happen. We can do a lot of good out here. Why do we want? Jesus understood his calling to say to Herod, you may think you're the king, but there's a new kind of king in town. And people were taking a liking to that. And so when Jesus goes to Jerusalem, he is risking his life. He's putting it all on the altar. He's sharing all that he is for the people, for the liberation of people, and he's confronting the toughest authorities that there are in that time. Some religious leaders, Pharisees, come to Jesus and they say, stay out of Jerusalem. Get out of Dodge, man. Why? Herod wants to kill you. Did you hear that? Herod wants to kill you. Stay out of Jerusalem. Certainly a sensible person would stay out of Jerusalem. But one of the things we know about Jesus was Jesus wasn't sensible. He was moved by the Spirit that got inside of him and acted in response to that. Paraphrasing, this is what Jesus directs them to tell the person who has the most powerful military and the most powerful politics of the world they know. He says, go tell that fox. And I want you to know that fox was not a positive word. It's not like foxy. Go tell that fox that I'm busy driving out demons and I'm busy healing people, and I will do what I want to do, when I want to do it, and where I want to do it. Jesus is committed to his movement of love, and Herod can't stop it. Herod could threaten prison, and it wouldn't stop Jesus. Herod could threaten death, and it wouldn't stop Jesus. Herod later actually did have Jesus crucified, but it didn't stop him. Jesus in his baptism, and this is my understanding of baptism, Jesus in his baptism went down into the Jordan River, and he died. That's what it meant. Going down into the water meant you die. And then guess what? He came up out of the water into new life. He was a new creation. The water couldn't hold him. He came out to new life. And so death no longer has power over Jesus. And death doesn't have power over us either, unless we give it power over us. The tomb could not hold Jesus. The tomb will never hold Jesus. The tomb will never hold love. Love is always out and about in the world calling people to what? To love God. And who else? Your neighbors. And who else? Yourselves. And who else? Your enemies. And who else? The whole creation. Love is out and about. Nobody can put it in a tomb. A lot of people try. Then Jesus says he longs to gather the people of Jerusalem under his wings like a hen. Like a hen protects her chicks. Jesus is using a feminine image for himself. Are you hearing that? And many people find it meaningful to refer to God as a hen, protecting all of creation under her wings. Jesus is using a feminine image. Are you getting that? For God. Now I want to tell you a story about President Zelensky of Ukraine. And you all know the story. I'm not going to say anything this morning you don't know. I'm trying to just put it together. He's steeped in Jewish tradition. Jewish people would say he wasn't particularly observant, but he was steeped. That's like the people who are steeped in the faith and don't show up for worship. So that's not judgment. I'm just describing that his faith meant a great deal to him. And so he can't be bullied into compliance by political and military threats. He can't be. His family had lived through the Holocaust. They'd lost much of their family in the Holocaust. They know when everything about death is thrown at you, and they've survived, and he survived. He is unafraid of President Putin of Russia. Putin is sending all the military strength he can muster to kill Zelensky and to conquer Ukraine. Zelensky doesn't fly off to safety. Zelensky doesn't hide in a bunker. Zelensky stays in his office, living out one of the movies from my past, Catch Me If You Can. I'm sure he has names for someone who bombs civilians, bombs nuclear sites, and bombs maternity hospital. I'm sure he has names. I can hear him saying, tell that fox I will do what I will do, and I'll do it where I will do it, and I will do it when I will do it. And I bet he's got some better names even than Fox. So the ongoing story about us this Lent. Jesus and President Zelensky are not afraid of death. And as a result, they're free. That's when we get free, when we're not afraid of death. When we believe our story, that life always comes in the midst of death and after death. So Zelensky and Jesus could not be tyrannized. Now, thinking about their bold and faithful way of living, we can explore this Lent what it would be like for us to live without fear. I believe that death and threats and disapproval and alienation and disconnection and violence only have power over us if we fear death. And our faith clearly says death has no power over us. So this Lent, why don't we think about why we let things have power over us? Why? I tried to make my list of things that we fear. Probably means these are things that I fear. I'm trying to gather together what I sense from all of you. We fear rejection, right? We fear being made fun of. We fear so-called failure. We fear being ignored. We fear going without touch from another. We fear intimidation. We fear nuclear war. We fear loss of our dreams. metaphorically, all of us, like Jesus, have gone down into our baptismal vows and risen up to new life. No one can control us by threatening death of any kind. No one. This Lent, let's get clear about what we are afraid of in our lives. Think about it a second. What is the biggest fear you have in your life? What's the biggest fear? And then we can say to that monstrous fear, go away. You no longer have power over me. I'm free to be the person I was created to be. We can stand strong by God's grace and say to our fears, even our largest fear, you fox, I have a life to live and you can't stop me. I am free. And then on Easter, April 17th, we can rise up out of our tomb of fear following the resurrecting Jesus who offers resurrection to us every single day. And we don't have to be afraid. Why not? Many fierce, stubborn, and protective hens will cover us under their wings. Once we honestly face our fear of death of all sizes, then we can live in freedom. Amen.
Amen.